Here with more. Fox News political analyst Reince Priebus and Fox News contributor Kaylee McGhee White. Kaylee, get your thoughts on this. She should be alive today.
18 years old, a life taken far too soon by, as you said, Sean, someone who should never have been here in the first place. And, you know, I think it's so telling that J.B. Pritzker has slow-walked any sort of statement on this, because just 4 days after the ICE shooting of Alex Preddy up in Minnesota, Pritzker rolled his way on over to that state to pay his respects to that protester. It took him the exact same amount of time to simply release a statement honoring the life of a young girl who was murdered in his own state. That just shows everything that you need to know about the priorities of the Democratic Party here. And at the very least, Sean, you would think that Democrats would see these sanctuary city policies as political suicide. But even as voters repeatedly vote against Democrats on the issue of immigration, they continue to defend these sanctuary city policies. And I think it's because they've realized that they're never going to win over those voters anyway. So they have one card left to play. They can import an entirely new voter base. And that is exactly what they have tried to do, and it's why they're fighting tooth and nail to keep these people in our country.
You know, I got to ask you, Reince, at what point and how do we hold the governors and the mayors accountable for the policies that aid and abet in the law breaking? For example, Gavin Newsom, highest income, sales, gas taxes in the country. He's now every billionaire now is coming to my free state of Florida. He's chasing them all away. Unbelievable. But how do we hold them accountable? With all that money he takes in, he's got billion-dollar budget deficits because of all the money he's spending on Medi-Cal, other programs for all of these illegals, never mind the murder, the rape, the child molestation, the drug dealing, and every other crime committed against people in California by these illegal immigrants. How come they're never held accountable for that?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure why, but I'll tell you, people are in a sort of backwards way holding these folks accountable because they're leaving California, they're leaving New York, people are leaving Illinois. Look at California. Look how the political landscape in Nevada has changed. Look how Arizona has changed. Even Utah, that's very red, is changing ever so slightly Democratic as the years go by. So, I mean, these people and these businesses, by the way, are moving. They're moving to Texas. They're moving to Florida. Look at the population in Florida. So they're losing money. You remember a long time ago, I talked about the fact that one of the things that you need to understand is that one of the first things Donald Trump did was he signed an executive order. I think it was either on Inauguration Day or the next day, that took away the right of municipalities to count illegal immigrants in the census. And so there is a money tie here for these municipalities. But to these three scenarios that you brought up, number one, when it came to Iran, when your hate of Trump starts sounding like a Tehran talking point, you've got a problem. Scenario number two, Trump and gas prices. They don't care about gas prices. They just don't want Trump to get the credit. And in your third scenario with this poor 18-year-old, they hate Trump so much, they're triggered by the idea of deporting illegal immigrants that commit felonies. They hate Trump so much that they equivocate and they side with a killer over an American citizen who was murdered. This is sick and it's mentally depraved, Sean.
I can't say it any better. Well said. Reince Priebus, thank you. Kaylee McGhee White, thank you. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.